Is job hopping worth it in 2026, or is it still worth it in 2026? Now, before I get into answering that question, I actually wasn't going to upload until next week. I'm actually going to California for some work training for my new job, and I wasn't going to upload. But then I found out how I could play Black Ops 2 again on the PC. And bro, let me tell you something. If you're in your mid-20s like me, I'm 25 years old right now, I literally have spent years of my life on Black Ops 2. And the first Call of Duty, I know everyone says Modern Warfare 2 is the GOAT, and I get it. Modern Warfare 2 is sick. But if you're like me, dude, the first Call of Duty I played was World at War. Then I went to Call of Duty Black Ops, the OG Black Ops was the first multiplayer game I ever tried to get good at. I think that was early middle school for me. But when Black Ops 2 came out, I lost years of my life. I shouldn't even say lost. I invested years of my life into this video game. Bro, I love Black Ops 2, and I'd always watch Wylearn and JP Finance and all these guys play the OG Call of Duties, and they're on Xbox, and truthfully, I didn't really want to buy an Xbox or do anything like that. So I ended up downloading Plutonium, and I found out how I could play Black Ops, hopefully safely, online still. And man, I've really been enjoying it. So I'm like, you know what? I played some Black Ops today. I'm like, let me record a video just to get something out there because Black Ops 2 is goated. I hit Prestige Master 3 times, I think, and then I reset everything. I love Black Ops 2. Give me a thumbs up if you guys like Black Ops 2 as well, because I'm going to start showcasing some more gameplay of this on the channel now that I know how to play it on PC. And yeah, but anyway, well, actually, quick side note. This is a little off topic. I don't know if I don't remember this properly, but bro, in this gameplay, I don't remember in Black Ops 2 when I try to throw a grenade, your guy throws it like a little bitch. Every time I try to throw it, it goes 10 feet and then the grenade just falls out of the sky. I don't remember if it was like that always, but that's my 2-minute long-winded yapping session. Let's get into the actual question of this video, and that is if job hopping is still worth it in 2026. Now, to give you guys a little bit of background about myself, if you haven't seen this video right here, I'd recommend you go watch it. But from this video, you could probably find out that I was actually kind of against job hopping. And before I get keyboard warriors in the comments telling me that I'm an idiot, let me explain kind of what I mean by that. I was always the type of person that I believed that work is very stressful and work takes up a lot of our lives. So if you can find a job at a company that you genuinely enjoy, at that point, keep the job. If you're getting paid decent money and you like the company, who cares? Maybe think about retiring there. That's kind of always the mindset I had. So the previous company that I worked at, truthfully with you guys, I thought I'd retire there. I planned to have a 9-to-5 there the rest of my life. It was a corporate job. I figured I would just retire there when I'm 65, cash out on my 401k. But once again, hopping back to my last video and what happened in my life 2 weeks ago, I no longer work for that job. And it wasn't really job hopping in my opinion, but I definitely accepted a role with a lot bigger pay, and I'm excited for that. So is job hopping still worth it? And I think it's important to talk about kind of the economy we're in and why job hopping might not be so simple as it used to be. I would say kind of pre-COVID or right after COVID, where it's I felt like every single person I knew would get a job, work there for 6 months, leave, go make, 2 times the income. Get a job, work there for 6 months, leave, go make 3 times the income. I don't really feel like that is necessarily responsible still, but there's definitely some good stuff about it. So let's kind of break it down here. Now, once again, to be clear, I'm definitely not anti-job hopping at all, and it is just statistically proven that switching jobs is, I would say probably is, the fastest and most effective way to just kind of overnight increase your income, especially earlier in your career. If you can go from an internship to a level 1 or a level 1 to a level 2, more than likely you're going to double or triple your income pretty quickly. But in 2026, I do feel like this has changed a little bit, and job hopping, in my opinion, is no longer automatically the best move just because the opportunity might be there. Because now it's not really about hopping as much as possible from job to job, but it's about hopping for the right reasons. Because let's be honest, like I said, a few years ago, the job market was completely different. And in my opinion right now, if you just look at the numbers, the job market is terrible. We are, especially in the US economy, I'm speaking more as the US, I don't really know about the rest of the world. The job market is garbage. And companies, they used to be competing very aggressively for talent. And especially during remote work, that kind of playbook exploded. And salaries, I mean, like I said, people were just jumping fast. So like if you felt underpaid, you didn't even have to fight internally. You could just go apply for 5 jobs, probably get one, double your pay, and that was it. And it wasn't usual to see those people getting 30 to 40% pay raises just by literally switching companies, staying in the same industry, probably not really increasing their responsibilities too much. And for most people, all you had to do was stay in that job for 6 months to a year, kind of learn what you can, and then leave for a better opportunity. And you never really had to stay loyal to one company. And truthfully, companies aren't loyal to you, so why would you stay loyal to them? Now, that was probably, like I said, 2021, 2022. In 2026, I feel like a lot more companies now are more cautious about hiring. They're definitely tighter on their budgets because the economy is not in the best position right now. Layoffs are kind of happening all around in multiple different industries, and recruiters are being a lot more selective. So a lot of people care a little bit more about job stability versus job hopping. And if your resume potentially shows that you switch jobs every year, that doesn't necessarily look impressive anymore. I would say at some point it did, especially if you had some good companies under your name. But I would think, some hiring managers now see this as a pattern and think, well, if we hire this person again, they're probably going to leave in 6 to 12 months and probably try to hop out of this job. So it doesn't necessarily mean that job hopping is bad, but I do think it means that you need to be a little bit more intentional about it. Now, job hopping absolutely makes sense in a few clear situations. So I'm going to break down 3 situations, in my opinion, it's just clear that you definitely need to job hop or at least start looking for a new job. Now, situation number 1 is you're underpaid. If you are genuinely underpaid in your role compared to the rest of the market, you should 100% be looking for a new job. Loyalty will never pay your bills. Respect does not pay your bills. The company does pay your bills, but if they're underpaying you, you need to find a new way out. And being grateful for the opportunity, that also doesn't pay your bills as well. Now, if your company won't pay you what you're worth, it's completely reasonable to find a new job that will and to move up in your career. And staying in a job where you know you're being underpaid, it's not really noble. And that's a kind of a mindset I had to get over, where at my last role, I was definitely being underpaid, but I saw it as this thing where I'm putting in the time and I'm putting in the effort to grow in this company. But at the end of the day, bro, life's expensive. I got bills to pay. I need some cash. You know what I'm saying? So it's just costing you more money every single month the longer you wait around while you're not getting paid for what you're worth. And that leads us into situation number 2, where this is kind of more so on the mental side, but you're not learning anymore. And if you've stopped learning at your current job, that can be a big problem, especially in your early career. When you're in your early career, you have so much time to learn and to grow, and you should be kind of listening to what everyone's saying and trying to be like a sponge and absorb as much information as possible, because it's just going to make you better. And your first several years, kind of in that corporate workspace or any workspace you're in, it should 100% be about building skills, building the experience and confidence in, kind of your own personal career, not just collecting a paycheck. So in my opinion, if your role that you're in feels really repetitive and you're not gaining any new abilities, and look, I know some people like to have a very stress-free life, stress-free job, but in my opinion, if you really want to capitalize on your career, you need a job that kind of pushes you, right? Every job's not going to be easy, and the harder the job, the more you're going to come out better. And lastly, situation 3 is your workplace is just toxic, and this is something I dealt with. Probably a lot of people deal with this, especially if you work in corporate, but if your environment is just draining you mentally, I mean, that's a legitimate reason to leave. Your managers are assholes, your leadership's assholes, bro, it's not worth it. No amount of money is worth the consistent stress, disrespect, or just feeling miserable every single week that you're working that job. And if your manager is, pushing on, an unhealthy culture and the politics in the office are unbearable, job hopping can probably be one of the healthiest mental decisions you make, because I don't know about you guys, but like if you work in a corporate role, I can't stand office politics. Like, I'm a grown man. I do not have time for office politics and playing these little games. My work speaks for itself. I'm not going to be the person that kisses ass and then hopes for a raise. Like, if you're not going to give me a raise because of the work I'm doing, but you're going to give Bobby a raise because he knows how to kiss ass, then I don't want to work at that company anymore. So if your workplace is toxic, bro, dip out the door, go make some more money for yourself, start looking at other jobs. That's the situations where I think job hopping is worth it. So we also need to talk about when job hopping is not worth it, because there's definitely a few cases you can make where job hopping is probably not the best thing you should do, especially in 2026. So case number 1 is if you're just hopping jobs for a tiny raise, you really have to consider what you're doing, because I would say, I actually posted a poll on my YouTube channel, but if you're job hopping for less than, man, I would say 15 to 20%. No, I would say 10%. If you're job hopping for less than 20%, I would highly recommend you to truly think about that decision if you really want to, because sometimes it might not be worth it. And obviously more money sounds good. At the end of the day, we all are working for more money. If none of us got a paycheck, none of us would be working. But you also reset your reputation in a new company, your relationships in a new company, and your internal growth at a new company as well. So if the raise is a little too small, you might often be better trying to negotiate where you're at first. Now, case number 2 for not job hopping is basing it off your resume. And what I mean by this, if you ever see a resume of someone who's like a serial job hopper, it looks kind of insane, right? Like, it looks random. There might be in different roles, they might be in different industries, going different directions. And who cares what I think? It's the recruiters, right? If recruiters start to see that, they might think you're unfocused. They might think you're taking advantage of companies just to get that pay raise. So the best resumes, in my opinion, don't show a lot of movement, but they show progression in the industry or roles you're in. So there should be a clear line of progression in your resume from, one job to the next. So for example, if you are just job hopping and kind of doing horizontal job hops to reach more pay, I would try to switch it to where you're seeing vertical movements in your roles. That way it looks a lot, tighter on your resume, looks a lot better for recruiters, and you're still job hopping, still making more money at the end of the day. And case number 3 for not job hopping is, I wouldn't recommend it if you haven't built real depth in your career or your new role. So if you leave every job before you truly master even anything in the role, like you don't have to master the whole role, but just, I would say, one bullet point on the job description, you might look experienced on paper or your resume or your LinkedIn, but in reality, you're going to be very shallow with the actual information that you can provide to new companies. And most of all, employers want people who can stick with something long enough to actually become strong at it to the point where you could potentially even teach it one day. So in my opinion, if you haven't really built real depth in your role or career, maybe hold off on looking for a new job until you could say, all right, I can do, X and Y of my X, Y, and Z role. Now it's time to look for a new job. So I think the new rule for job hopping in 2026 kind of has to balance on 2 points. The first point it has to balance on is trajectory for your career. Every move you make when it comes to job hopping or just looking for a new role should boil down to 4 things that are going to benefit you. It should boil down to more responsibility in your career, because yes, more responsibility can mean more stress, but it's also going to make you stronger and grow more. It should equal to, better skills, more advanced skills that you're learning. That way you can bring more value to new employers. It should equal better experiences and significantly higher pay as well. That's kind of the first pillar, the new rule of job hopping should balance on. The second pillar, just because of the economy we're in and the job market we're in, is you also have to have a little bit of stability. Do research on the company you plan on applying to. If they're doing mass layoffs, are you sure you want to apply to that company? For example, I have a very, very close work buddy who we never worked at the same company together, but he's a mutual connection of mine, and he's kind of like a mentor of mine. And he was working at Amazon, and he was making $222,000 a year as a category manager $220,000 a year as a category manager at Amazon. And he said it was the worst job he ever had, and he ended up getting laid off. So, at the end of the day, that $220,000, hey, I'm not going to argue with that. But when you have the risk of getting laid off and it was the worst job you ever worked, is it really worth it? So whatever company you think of moving to, play that stability part as well. Ask yourself from every angle, is this job going to be, stable in the next years to come, especially with AI and just everything going on in the tech industry right now. And if you obviously don't work a tech job and you're not looking at working at Amazon or anything like that, you can still do all these same steps. This doesn't just apply to corporate roles. This can apply to blue collar and white collar roles as well. Now, what I would do if I were you, if you are specifically trying to hop jobs for more money, I would say there's a few things that are worth trying first. Now, once again, If you're trying to hop a job because you're like, bro, I just want to make more money. For step one, what I would do is I would probably ask for a raise. Now, in my situation with my previous company, this did not go good at all. They laughed in my face when I asked for a raise, and that's half the reason I'm not with them anymore. But hopefully your company is cooler than my previous one. And a lot of people will never ask for a raise because they're just too scared to, and they assume that the answer is going to be no. But you'd be surprised how often companies will at least hear you out and potentially increase your pay. What you need to do, though, is you need to make a strong professional case. I would always, my kind of rule of thumb is type up, a one-pager. Have ChatGPT type you up a one-pager and present it to them and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing for you guys. This is what I'm doing above and beyond, and I think I deserve a raise for that. They might hear you out, they might not, but it never hurts to ask. Now, step number 2 is asking for a promotion. So if you're already doing work above your job title, you definitely deserve recognition for that. And sometimes a promotion with a little bit of bump in pay is easier for a company to approve than a big raises. So that's why this would be step number 2 versus step number 1. Because once again, if you can provide your company with a one-pager on how you're going above and beyond, they might, and you try to ask and negotiate for a promotion. Some companies will definitely look at that. And once again, in my case, this did not go good. My company ended up telling me that I needed to wait 3 years before a promotion. But for the most part, some companies are willing to listen, and some companies and managers specifically, this kind of leans into the politics of things, is they like go-getters. They like people who are willing to go up to them face to face and say, hey, I deserve a raise or a promotion. Some people appreciate that, and some people will reward that. And step number 3, if you are trying to potentially grow your career, but you don't necessarily want to job hop, is you could always negotiate growth opportunities. And what I mean by that is if you're currently in your role right now and you just think you're killing it and it's like brain dead and you genuinely want to work harder, even if you won't get more money right away, such as a raise or a promotion, you can ask to be put on better projects or work with different teams or have one-on-ones with leadership, whatever it might be. Anything like that is going to increase your value over time because they're going to see it, and they're going to see that, so-and-so is taking the time to go above and beyond, and that could lead to better growth opportunities. Now, one thing I always like to say too is everything's an interview, right? So even if, let's say you really like the company you're working for and you don't necessarily want to job hop, but you want to grow fast in the company. Doing stuff like this, it can make you look a lot better because everything is an interview. People are going to look at that and they're going to think, wow, so-and-so is going above and beyond, and leadership is going to take that into mind. And when your, promotion comes up or your evaluation comes up or your next raise comes up, you'll be able to fall back on those experiences and say, hey, this is why I deserve, more money. Once again, the question I asked you guys at the beginning of the video is job hopping still worth it in 2026? The economy, especially in the US, is down right now in the job market. Stability, people are striving for stability versus, I would say, growth right now. We're at an all-time high of people just wanting to find a job and keep it versus leaving their jobs. Like I see people all over social media who quit their jobs and regret it. So is job hopping still worth it? I still think it is worth it. I think it is something that is extremely worth it if you can grow your income, especially very fast, right? So if you can job hop for the right reasons, if it's to get yourself into a better mind state, get yourself into a better, job or industry or just pay, I definitely think job hopping is worth it. However, there is a few caveats. Like I said, do research on the company you plan to go to. If the company you plan to go to is a company that hasn't really had mass layoffs recently, they're a good company, a lot of people like working for them, 100% you should consider job hopping. But do not switch jobs just because everyone else is doing it, or you heard a story online of someone saying, oh yeah, I job hopped and I increased my income 500%. It doesn't work like that for everyone. It depends on what industry you're in. So definitely it is 100% worth it, but you need to do your due diligence and you need to do a lot of research before you pull the trigger and leave the current company you're at, just because of, like I said, the climate we're in right now. So when you're underpaid, when you're not learning, and when your environment is healthy, by far you should be looking to hop jobs. Otherwise, try to build real depth where you are, grow your skills as much as you can, and just take the time, move with intention, because it's going to look a lot better on your resume, and you're just going to be such more of a well-rounded person in your professional career. So let me know in the comments down below. Have you ever job hopped? If you haven't, are you planning on staying with your current job this year, or are you trying to make a move for financial reasons or other reasons? Drop your answer in the comment below. Once again, I appreciate you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys like the Black Ops 2. I'm so happy I can play Black Ops 2 again. You'll see some more of that gameplay on this channel. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. But, oh, by the way, we hit 15,000 subscribers, which is, I'm actually stuttering because I don't really know what to say. I can't believe I hit 15,000 subscribers. I appreciate you guys so much. I appreciate all the support on these videos. And I hope you guys have a great 2026. I hope your 2026 is off to a great start. Keep pushing, keep grinding, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.